What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host, Joey Garcia, and today we are going to be breaking down the undrafted free agents that we think have a chance of breaking these rosters in the AFC North. So let's get started with the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, so going with the Cincinnati Bengals, we've got Devonsha Maxwell, the interior defensive lineman from Chattanooga. He is 6'2", 300 pounds, and he's a very explosive interior defensive lineman. I don't know if he will hold up in the NFL and be able to get that same pressure rate from the interior defense as he did at Chattanooga playing against lower level competition, but if he can get just some of that, that is enough where I think he has a chance of making this roster. Another guy that I think had a chance of making it, I wanted to give him a shout out, was Jackson Kirkland, the interior offensive lineman from Washington. He's a bigger body guy. He moves fairly well. He's just basically a guy who I think can play a couple positions. He can swing in at both guard spots. He doesn't run very well, as in laterally or up to the next level. And he also isn't a mauler who's just going to blow first level defenders off the water. But he does enough and he's smart enough and he's always looking for work. And so those kinds of traits I think will help him and give him a chance to help out this interior offense line that's kind of struggling just a little bit. All right, the Baltimore Ravens. I ended up going with Keaton Mitchell, running back from East Carolina. I like this guy from ECU. He is 5'8", 180 pounds, and he has legitimate 4.3 speed. He's super shifty. He's got good hands. He's gonna be what they wanted Justice Hill to be, maybe a little bit of what they thought Tyler Batty could be last year, and they ended up cutting him, putting him on practice squad. I think this is a guy who can fill that role. So I'd be very excited to see this guy in preseason. I think he can be RB2, RB3. Obviously, they got Gus Edwards to be the backup to J.K. Dobbins. I think this is your RB3, your speed component to that backfield, that kind of change of pace. So another honorable mention I put in there was Dante Demas Jr., the wide receiver out of Maryland. He's a bigger body receiver. He's got good hands, and he's fairly quick. They do really only ask him to be a jump ball guy down the sideline. That's something that kind of hurt him, but I know they're looking to add some receiver help. They ended up giving him a decent amount of money as a priority free agent. So that's another guy who I'd be looking at and be interested. Maybe he could be RB4 on this roster, or excuse me, wide receiver 4 on this roster. Pittsburgh Steelers. I had a couple guys. It was really hard for me to decide who who might make this roster. BT Potter, the kicker from Clemson, I like him a lot. He's a very consistent kicker. He did it at a high level, making game-winning kicks consistently at Clemson. They do have Chris Boswell still there, who's a veteran kicker. I think BT Potter is gonna compete very well with him. I just don't know. I don't know if he'll be able to impress them enough to get rid of Boswell, but I think he has a decent chance, and that's why he's on this list. The next two guys, I wanted to add a running back. They did bring in both these running backs, and I like both of them a lot. So I couldn't decide. I decided, hey, you know what? Let's put both of them up here. Darius Hagans, the running back from Virginia State. He's 5'11", 210 pounds. He's fast, good contact balance, and he's also a returner. He returns really well. Again, it's at a lower level. I liked what I saw on tape. He's kind of what they expected maybe a Benny Snell to be. And then Jordan Byrd is a running back from San Diego. Again, he's a returner. He's super fast. And he's a guy, again, Darius Hagans is someone that's probably going to pound a little bit in between the tackles. Jordan Byrd is, let's get outside and we're gone. See ya. Really good hands. Probably play a jet motion type with him. You could probably mess around with Jordan Byrd a lot. He is smaller. I don't know how he'll hold up. But at San Diego State, he was electric. And the last team in the AFC North, we've got the Cleveland Browns, and I think Mohamed Diabate, the linebacker from Utah, is someone that can really make a splash on this roster. He's 6'3", 225 pounds, and they guaranteed him a lot of money. They guaranteed a couple guys a lot of money. Lonnie Phelps, the edge from Kansas, they guaranteed a lot of money, and Ronnie Hickman safety from Ohio State. I thought he was going to get drafted, and he didn't. So I think he's going to make this team. But going back to Muhammad, he can play edge and outside backer. He played both at Florida before he transferred to Utah. He played a little bit at Utah, but he was primarily in a stand-up backer. He's really rangy. He goes sideline to sideline. He isn't the strongest, but he's instinctual. He can play good coverage, and he can also blitz pretty well. So he's someone you don't want to play A gap to A gap. He's going to be an outside backer for you, but he can play in coverage, and I think he's someone who in third downs, if you want to have a guy like him in there, who can kind of play that James Houston role at Detroit last year that they had him do, kind of that like a Minka, Micah Parsons light situational guy. I think he might be able to step in at that. Ronnie Hickman is a guy who can play all over the back end. He's just slower. He doesn't tackle that well, but I liked him a lot. I thought he was going to get drafted. So, again, I think this is a guy who also might make the roster. And that's all we've got today. So, tomorrow, I believe we'll have a video out tomorrow, and it will be the AFC West. And then we'll get on with the South and then go over to the NFC side. So, go ahead and leave a like down here if you enjoyed the video, and put a comment down below if you think a different undrafted free agent is going to make any of these teams. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a good day. Peace.